The massive power of the open and modified classes have lent to a most competitive season in 2025. Defending Open Cuts champion Billy Fling is looking to rebound from missing round 3, while Keith Mitchell and Justin George battle for supremacy in the modified paddle class. Coming up, these high-speed heroes put the power to the Show Me State clay. From the spacious farmlands of the Show Me State, it's round 4 of the 2025 MRA Championship coming at you from the Upper Merrimack Dirt Drags at Booker Farms. Getting ready for open class and modified class racing. We will have the open cut tire class coming up in just a little bit, but we're going to start things off with the modified paddle tire class. And the story in that class really has been a two-way battle at the top. Keith Mitchell and Justin George leading the way right now in points, as you can see, coming into this week's action. But Jason Massey is not to be counted out, though he won't be driving here this week. John Tomblin will take over the wheel of that machine. Daniel Carehair and Sam Lombazio, though, nipping at Jason Massey's heels right now as we get ready to bring our first pairing to the line here in the modified paddle division. We're actually going to see a cut tire machine on the line immediately. That is Mike Hammer Latham, and Hammer Time out of Parkview, Iowa, the 2015 Chevy Colorado fiberglass bodied machine. 632 cubic inch Chevrolet big block in the front of this thing. The Dana 44 front, a Ford 9-inch rear end with 4-link. Power Glide transmission going side by side with this rear engine rail built by Racing in the Dirt. Justin George out of Franklin, Georgia. This machine won the 2023 modified paddle class with Rick George at the wheel. There you see Rick getting the nitrous system set up right now. Multi-generation team legends in the sport of mud racing now out here with the dirt drags, the evolution of this sport, going mighty quick on the loam. Here tonight we will see what Justin George can do, trying to jump up in points and get past Keith Mitchell before the end of the year, as we have one more round to go after this in Lyons, Indiana. This pair comes into stage. We will see what they have to set down the pace for the rest of the field. Not bad for Justin George, a 227 with a 3, Latham a 317 with a 6. Definitely going to be outclassed on the cut tires, a little underpowered here as well, even with that giant power plant under the hood. But in the near lane, that's 959 cubic inches of Billy Albert Racing horsepower in the back of that machine. And you can see a pretty good run for Justin George coming out of that near side. We saw in our Outlaw Pro Stock division, this near lane to us started to deteriorate quite a bit. We'll see if the paddles help out with that at all here early in the evening. It's a bit muggy out right now. Temperatures are starting to drop, though, as the sun goes down. Sam Lombazio now out of Knoxville, Illinois, in all-in big block Ford powered machine tuned by Oakley Motorsports out of Owensboro, Kentucky. And he lines up next to the Ultimate Flyer, your points leader right now in the 2025 season, Keith Mitchell out of Fredonia, Pennsylvania, the Magician. The 960 cubic inch Sonny's power plant with a 4-stage nitrous system, sitting right behind the man in the white helmet. See his crew chief getting him staged up right now, and Keith, definitely going to be one to watch here. He has got to keep on top in these points, as this battle will close up before we get to round 5. Again, I have a cut tire machine in the far lane. We've seen Lombazio making several runs, though, with that machine on the cut tires in this paddle class, getting some tunes on it to help him when he goes and runs the classes he normally does very well in. We'll see what he can do here, though, against Keith Mitchell. Not going to be Mitchell's night. You can see him pick up the front end, got on the wheelie bar, and unloaded the car. A wild ride on the near side of the track, unfortunately, is going to cost Mitchell any hope of being able to use this first session time to get past Justin George, so he's going to have to rely on what he's able to do on the left side of the track later on tonight. But it might work out in his favor, because when the temperatures go down, he should be able to make a lot more horsepower with that massive power plant that sits behind him in the Magician. But again, didn't quite have that thing set up right. When it's got up on those clutches and the tires bit, it put him up on that wheelie bar and unloaded the rear end. Now, Outcast rolling into stage. This is John Tomblin out of Fraser's Bottom, West Bygod, Virginia. Record holder in this sport, both car and driver. And of course, Jason Massey, also a record holder in this division, looking to try to take over the points before he comes out of the Show Me State. This team would love to carry some big-time momentum on into Wagler Motorsports Park. We'll see if they can do that, lining up next to one of the hot shots here looking for trouble. That is Daniel Gehrer out of Spalding, Nebraska. That 632 cubic inch Tony Bischoff Ford engine with a 300 shot of nitrous. Jumped up from a 552 cubic inch engine a couple of years ago when he first started. It seemed like he was struggling to really find the horsepower, but since he's gotten to this machine, he's had an issue with it loading up, and it has a tendency to spit a lot of flame, so hopefully they've gotten that rectified. Meanwhile, the Outcast, a 959 cubic inch Pat Musey power plant owned by Robert Gallagher, who will be driving this vehicle in the cut tire class tomorrow. So right now, John Tomblin going to try to jump up on the top two in points, chasing Justin George and then Keith Mitchell, who is still sitting in first on the point sheet. Great run for Tomblin. Obviously problems for Gehrer. A 2-2-1 with a 2 for John Tomblin, and I do believe that is a new record pass. Tomblin doing what he had to do. Not only does he take the #1 spot, but he puts down a new 200-foot record for the MRA National Championship. Look at him get on those rear tires. Had that machine set up perfectly. The glow coming out of the headers. Lighten up the twilight hour here. Tomblin, the 2-2-1, puts him on top of Justin George, who is leading Keith Mitchell, who's sitting in third, to Sam Lambazio and Mike Latham. So a very competitive start to our modified paddle class. Remember, they're going to come back and run again. They're not done yet, but it's time to light the fuse. The cackle of massive horsepower coming to the line. The open class is next. Welcome back to the Upper Merrimack Dirt Drags in Cook Station, Missouri, as we continue with round 4 of the 2025 MRA Championship Series. The open class on the cut tires ready to come to the line, and here's a look at the points coming into today's action. Kevin Harrison leading the charge over early season points leader Travis Shoemaker. If you haven't been watching our coverage, a big story there. Steve Renaud in number 3, Tyler Coolidge and Jim Ingram rounding out the top 5. And there's a name you may have noticed is not there, Billy Fling, the defending champion in this class. He missed a race for some personal stuff going on, but we are glad to see him back on the track this weekend. See if he can make up some points here as Jim Ingram rolls in out of Simonton, Texas in Bad Trouble 3 with a 500 cubic inch Hemi on the back, and another Texan, Mark Riggin out of Lockhart, Texas, the Wild Man, another Bad Habit, 526 cubic inch Hemi, Bullet Racing chassis on that thing, and the Texans get ready to go side by side here to open our first session in the open cut tire division. Round 4, ready to get underway. Wild ride in the right lane for Jim Ingram. And we were wondering if that lane would deteriorate as the night goes on. 2.39 for Riggin, a 2.47 for Ingram. Ingram would have been right in the program if he could have kept it straight as he came hard off the line, but you can see the machine coming way to the right-hand side, and I'm not sure if he caught the cone or if the parachute caught the cone. Maybe the roost got it, but there was a cone down over there when he came through, so the track crew going to check out the video, and I don't believe there's a disqualification on that run, but we will find out now as Steve Renaud, third in points, all the way out of Hornpain, Ontario. Didn't come the furthest of all the open class guys this weekend, but he does travel quite a ways to compete on this MRA Championship Series in that race in the dirt-built chassis, and lined up next to a guy who has had a storied 2025 season, not one that I think he's really happy with, as he started in good form, but day 2 of the series on the paddle tires, it seemed like all the power they put to this old chassis. This thing's about 13 years old, I think, maybe 12 years old, and man, is it starting to take some punishment, jumping from a nitrous-injected big cubic inch engine to this blower motor. And here was the first night on the tour in Fountain, Florida back in May on the cut tires. Blistering pass for Shoemaker. He would win the class on the night and pick up the early season points lead, but following that run, moving over to Saturday night on the paddle tires in the near lane. Keep your eyes on Shoemaker again. That was the beginning of the end right there. He would move on to Cook Station, Missouri for round 2, where he would suffer engine problems that would keep him from gaining any points on the tour other than show-up points. But you see right there the vehicle make a hard move to the right, and it's listing bad to that right-hand side when he came through the traps. What he did was he broke the rear suspension, peeled the housing clean open on that run when the vehicle twisted. But that wasn't the worst he had. He had this storm to weather at round 3 back in August in Mississippi. Just about cleaned his clock when he pancaked the wall on the right-hand side of the vehicle. Bounced back, though. He ran the machine the following night on the paddle tires, but here is a look at what happened on the cut tires at round 3. Hard contact with the wall on the right-hand side. They got back together. They came out. They had a decent night on the paddle tires, but this was this morning when we rolled in. Actually, this was earlier this afternoon, not long ago. They're putting a front drive shaft back in this machine. He had a new rear tires set up. He was testing the machine. When he nailed the hammer, he spun the wheels inside the tires. It sent all the power to the front drive shaft, and he detonated that front drivetrain assembly. He had to scramble, find a shop to put a drive shaft in this vehicle, but you saw already he has made it to the starting line. He'd love to have this season back, but tonight he is going to go after this championship, whether he's on top of the points or not. Another wild ride for Shoemaker, I'll tell you. Should be a good time, but a 2.41, not what he was looking for. 2.54 with a 1 for Renaud, but a look at it again, picked up the front end. He's known for doing wheelies. He's known for getting that thing torqued up, really twisting in the air, but normally hasn't been slamming the front end down quite as hard as he has here recently. Look at him back on the power. It started to come around to the left. Heads up driving to keep out on the timing equipment, although he once again makes the highlight reel in the MRA Tour. But I think he'd like to stop doing that for wild rides. He'd like to be doing it for win percentage rather now, as the defending 2024 Cut Tire champion rolls out Billy Fling in reality check out of Sunbury, Ohio. The only front engine vehicle in the class here tonight. Not the only one on the tour, but the only one here tonight. 581 cubic inch Hemi power plant inside of a Brasket race cars built chassis. He and his brothers Dale and Steve and their family friend Dan. A bunch of good guys keeping this thing tight and tuned. And Billy said he wanted to have the quickest front engine car in the country, and I do believe he has done that. Let's see where he ends up after session 1. Going after the number 1 spot. He does it, a 224 with a 4 for Billy Fling out of Ohio. The bright white Buckeye coming out to Missouri, first race back since the last time he was here, and it is a good one so far. Billy Fling, I believe you're in first right now, a 224 at 105 miles an hour. It seems like you're kind of back where you need to be.
Yeah, getting closer. At least it didn't cut out on me this time, so I think we got that worked out, I hope.
Humidity's kind of come down tonight. I know it's still up there, but it's not like it was this afternoon.
No, but the air's still not great, so we'll just throw what we can at it and see what happens.
Always interesting to talk to these guys about that corrected altitude, trying to find it. You can see the sun is set. It's much cooler out here. That's helping a bunch, but there is a ton of dew on everything. The moisture is really up now as Scott Snarsky rolls out of Libertyville, Illinois. First race back for him all season long. We have not seen what really is one of the most competitive machines in this sport right now, the Ford-powered Paperboy Express. And he's going to line up side by side with Tyler Coolidge, part of the multi-generation Nightmare team. That is Nightmare 7. There you see his father Joel out in front. Joel driving in the Outlaw Pro Stock Division Kryptonite. Next to that 500 cubic inch Alan Johnson performance engine in the back of that thing. Next to the 540 cubic inch Ford Boss power plant with the 1-speed transmission and a 3-disc slipper clutch. That is Paperboy Express. Scott Snarsky well capable of taking a victory. Both of these guys are hard chargers. Either one of them could jump up and bite Billy Fling. We'll see. Can they get by the front engine machine? Wild ride on the right-hand side of the track. It looks like we might have some reflectors down. We'll have to see. Tyler Coolidge, 2.70, indicative of that wild ride. A 2.38 for Snarsky. He was closing on Billy Fling, but it's not going to work out for him. Man, they were on the line, on the stall for a long time. It seemed like it took forever for that green to drop, and you see Coolidge dealing with a lane that is definitely deteriorating. We'll have to keep an eye on that for the rest of the night as the temperatures go down. The horsepower should be coming up, but there is still a ton of moisture in the air. And that can also affect this very heavy clay-based track that's out here. We'll see, but a straight ride for Scott Snarsky puts him in second place. He's got a 2.3. You're right on Billy's heels right now. The air is kind of dense tonight, though.
Yeah, we should hopefully go faster next pass. We did a little fuel change. We did have a hiccup in the middle of the track. The motor cut out for a second. We don't know why. But we're going to try a couple things and see what we can do. But hopefully we can keep it going. You know, there's a lot of holes out there being last one in. And we get to be first in this time. So hopefully we'll have a little better shot at it. Because I went all the way from the right side all the way to the left side of the track, which is longer than 200 feet. So that does cause a little bit of an issue. It's only the second race for me this year, so a little rusty yet.
Not looking too bad, though, for only 2 in.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
Well, he comes out in second place in his first competitive run of the season, first run of the season at all. Billy Fling is looking fast, though, tonight, trying to rebound from missing a race. Scott Snarsky, not a prayer of getting the points this year, but he's coming out to play spoiler. Mark Reagan, Travis Shoemaker, and Steve Renaud, the Canadian, rounding out the top 5. We are going to get back to the modified paddles here in a moment and see how they deal with this near side lane. Stay with us.
The world-famous C60 Cyclops. The infamous Dodge Carryall, unnamed and untamed. Get yourself a one-of-a-kind toy of a Mudbogger turned monster truck at freedomracingnt.com.
Back on the line with the modified paddle class here at round 4 of the 2025 MRA Championship season. Daniel Carher in Looking for Trouble back in the staging area now against the guy who just broke the national record. That's John Tomblin in Outcast out of Fraser's Bottom, West Virginia. The 959 cubic inch Pat Musey power plant. He is in what really has become the bad lane here tonight. We'll see if the paddle tires help Andy get a hold of this track, but there are some soft spots just off the starting line where these guys really are having an issue with the vehicles kind of getting down in the holes, and they're biting on one side, not on the other. Then when they regain traction on the side that's down in the hole, it really shoots them off left and right. So you got to pick your spot in the lane and hope that you get bite out to about 60 feet. If you can get the vehicle to bite going out that far, you can usually get it to stick all the way out the end of the track, but they are really moving around in these lanes. We'll see, however, if Daniel Carrier can surprise John Tomblin, maybe get past him, but it's going to take a record run to do it. See now if Tomblin can back that record up. He has to back it up to keep it. What a ride for Tomblin, a 2:19. He does so. Talk about quick, a 2:3 for Daniel Carrier. So definitely happier with this session than he was with his first. He barely got off the starting line, rolled out, and just drove through the traps. But look at Tomblin carry the front end, lighten the pipes. So he will back up the record, and now he has to sit in wait to find out if any of these others can get past him. And there are some heavy hitters still to come. Two pairs left, I should say, but heavy hitters in both pairings. Keith Mitchell, record-capable machine here, one of the most competitive cars in this class, one of the most competitive drivers in the history of the sport. Doesn't have a championship on this tour. Looking for one this year. Can he get it on the paddles? He's leading the points right now. Believe it or not, if he could just get to second place on the night and John Tomblin can stay there, as long as he finishes ahead of Justin George, he could do himself a huge favor. Tomblin may have done him a favor here tonight because Mitchell had a lot of problems in that first session. We'll see if those problems continue as he lines up next to Sam Lombazio. There you see Gage Lombazio, who competes in the super stock division in a vehicle under the same name, All In. That is the family name there. Lombazio Plumbing family out of the state of Illinois, lined up against the Keystone Killer Keith Mitchell, the Magician. Going after a record right now. It was a 2-1. Coming to the middle of the track there, Mitchell, a 2:24, not going to get past John Tomblin, a 2:76 for Lombazio, again on the cut tires. Not a big surprise that he wasn't faster than the paddle tire rail in the left lane now as Justin George comes into stage and Shoot to Thrill. And I do want to mention the top three in this class right now are all running engines about in the same horsepower range. The 960 cubic inch Sonny's power plant in the back of Keith Mitchell's machine, and then nearly identical power plants in Shoot to Thrill and in Outcast. The power plant in the back of Shoot to Thrill, formerly a Pat Musey power plant, now tuned by Billy Albert out of Wytheville, Virginia. Going side by side now with Mike Latham. Hammer time out of Parkview, Iowa. Again on those cut tires. Still pretty competitive in this class with a full-bodied machine, no nitrous, just running pure raw 632 cubic inch big block Chevy horsepower against that massive Billy Albert power plant coming into stage right there in that beautiful Racing in the Dirt dragster. A lot of popping and cracking on the far side. John Tomblin will hold on for the victory and a national record. John Tomblin, good to see you back behind the wheel. First time we've seen you back in a couple of years here on our coverage, and you had it on kill, a new record.
Yeah, it was a total team effort. Just a bunch of blue-collar people from West Virginia come try to play with the big boys.
2-1 on this track. Everybody's trying to figure out the air tonight. You guys had it figured out.
Yeah, like I said, total team effort. Everybody has a job and they do it well. It's turned out really good for us tonight.
Well, good luck to you guys tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It'll be interesting to see what happens for the rest of the season. Keith Mitchell holding off Justin George tonight, who you saw had problems in that final session. That vehicle was not happy. A lot of flame out of the pipe, so he stays in number 2. Jason Massey continues to sit in the number 3 spot. Thanks to John Tomblin on the night, though, gaining some points on the top 2 spots. Stay with us. More action to come from the open class.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. For the Silver Lake Sand Dragway, there really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter. Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo. Gotta check it out. This week we're going to go down memory lane.
We are back for our final run here on Friday night at the Upper Merrimack Dirt Drags at Cook Station, Missouri at Booker Farms. Big thanks to Greg Booker and his family for their hospitality as always. Great people, a lot of good food here too if you ever get a chance to come out. Just an absolutely fantastic experience anytime you get a chance to hang out with the Booker family, especially with these MRA Elites. Ready to go now on the line with the open cut tire class. Leading the class right now is Billy Fling. And he's got 2 heavy hitters coming after him right now. Scott Snarsky, Paperboy Express, currently number 2 on the timesheet. Not a prayer to get in the points, but he is definitely trying to play spoiler on the night. And he goes up against a hard-charging second-generation heavy hitter, Tyler Coolidge in Nightmare 7. The 2020 Open Paddle Class champion against the 2016 Open Cut champion. A blistering pair of runs there. A 2.28 for Coolidge. Snarsky, a 2.20 will get him into the number 1 spot. Scott Snarsky laying down his shot and getting it done. Will it hold up for the night, though? He's got to dodge some more bullets. That includes Billy Fling in reality check, and Billy could get by him. He knows that. Look at Snarsky hanging on to that lane. That lane has been tough all night. They took a little break, regroomed the track, redid the starting line, dug it up, regroomed it, and I think they've got some good dirt up there right now. At least it looks like it. We'll wait and see, because Snarsky was coming out of what really has been the tough side of the track all night. Just jumped to the number 1 spot. Now, a guy we didn't see earlier on, Shane Olrogi in the Dirty Bomber. Shane out of Wisconsin, driving this machine for Aaron Corbier out of Canada. Brad Anderson Hemi with an 1871 Darren Mayer Performance Supercharger up on top. A turbo 400 transmission. This machine should be able to win in this class. Trying to work the bugs out of it, though. Not quite the run he was hoping for. It was a nice run. He moved to the left of that lane there, but it's not going to be enough to get the win. It was very evident it was not as fast as he was hoping it would be. A 2.37 with a 9 for the Corbier machine, being piloted by Shane Olrogi on this night. And here he comes, Billy Fling out of Sunbury, Ohio. In reality check, Billy, the 2020, 2021, and 2024 Open Cuts champion, and the 2018, 2019, and 2021 Open Paddles champion. One of the winningest cars in this class right now, next to another one of the winningest vehicles in this class, Kevin Harrison, in the screw-blown 527 cubic inch Noonan-powered Never Enough Eric Bidlack built chassis out of Grenada, Mississippi. Won the 22 and 23 Open Cuts Championship and the 22, 23, and 24 Open Paddles Championship. This is the man who took the Open Cuts 24 Championship away from him. He wasn't able to defend that. He'd love to get it back, and he would love to keep the momentum going right here. Great pair of runs. Harrison with some problems. Hold on. They both worked to get him woed at the end of the track. Look at that, a pair of 2.20s. It looked like, what, 6 thousandths separating those two times at the end, and I believe only a few inches there for a moment. Look at Harrison getting sideways in shutdown. Those power lights started to get real close together. Heads up driving for both of those guys. You can see how far back to the left Harrison went to stay away from Billy Fling, and Fling getting the vehicle slowed down to avoid getting into the side of the Never Enough machine out of Mississippi. I think Harrison ended up down there in that soybean field. As our penultimate pair come to the line. There you see Steve Renaud out of Hornpain, Ontario, in Frantic, the 2017, 18, and 19 Open Cuts Class champion. Lined up against the 2017-2018 Modified Cuts champion. Also won the 2018 Modified Paddles Championship. They have since put a blower motor in the back of this machine. There's talks of maybe seeing a new high roller in 2026, but this machine's doing them awful proud right now, but I think the fatigue is finally catching up with us. We've seen a lot of wild rides this year. Even took one in the first session here on the near side of the track. We'll see where he ends up at the end of the night. Shoemaker has a history of being kind of wild. If he's wild in session 1, he seems to get it together for session 2, and then if he's on point in session 1, it seems to go awry in session 2. So fingers crossed that both of these guys get safely across that finish line. Shoemaker way over to the right-hand side of the lane. Holds on to it on the verge of getting out of control. Another pair of 2.2s, a 2.20 with a 1 for Shoemaker. 1,000th off of the number 1 spot. That will land him in second behind Scott Snarsky. And look at him, keeping it off the center of the track. Travis, a hell of a turnaround from the last time we saw a 2.20, and it was very, very close tonight.
Yeah, it's been a rough mid-season push, breaking a lot of stuff, tearing a lot of stuff, pushing the car harder than we've ever pushed it. Broke it again last night testing. We're able to find a shop around it, made a drive shaft for us, and pulled off from that.
Well, you can tell he's tired. Good family of racing, though, here. He and his father, Neil, and Marky, and the new baby, and the dog, and everybody. If you're ever wandering by that trailer, you talk about a family with some knowledge in this sport. Very interesting people to talk to. Would love to see him get a turnaround here now as Jim Ingram rolls back onto the starting line in bad trouble. He will get a single. Right here, Mark Reagan did not return to the starting line, had some problems after that first session run. Almost ended up in the bean field. Ingram's capable as he bounces through the shutdown. 2.21, just off the pace. He was very, very close as he came through, but it will be Scott Snarsky taking the number 1 spot here on the night. But one more look at Jim Ingram closing out the class here in Cook Station. Scott, when we interviewed you earlier, you were just happy to be back out here, but little confusion up at the front as to who won. But when we got down here, they said it was you. It was a 2.00.
Correct, 2.200. And the second place was 2.201. For 1,000th, I won by.
1,000th, and to a good competitor, too. And those guys have had a hell of a time getting here. It's good to see you back out here. It's nice to see both cars finish the night.
Yeah, we had a good time. Did the right changes at least. The car ran well that second pass. And we came back and, Ford did it again. That's all I got to say is right there.
Well, a lot of Blue Oval contingent leading this class here tonight. Kevin Harrison continues to lead the points right now, as you can see, but these guys are banging on his back door. Travis Shoemaker would love to jump past him. He's got an outside shot to do it. Tyler Coolidge, Jim Ingram, and Billy Fling rounding out the top 5 in the Open Cuts division. Thank you for joining us for this wild night of action. This is just Friday. We still have Saturday to go. The Super Stocks will be coming at you next time. We'll also have more from the Open class on the paddle tires. The Modifieds will switch to the cut tires, and we'll have the Pro Stocks coming at you. We will see you then.